Hello and welcome to another episode of Words with Myself.
Most people live with the expectation that life should be good to them and that the bare minimum is for things to go right. We get used to things very quickly. We could be at a beautiful place, paradise, and yet sooner or later we would get bored or take for granted the beautiful view. We'd take for granted the sea air and the trees and all of that kind of stuff. It would just become normal. And you could be watching these people in paradise. And if you were listening to their remarks and their squabbles and what they had to complain about, they might be saying that, oh, the waves are no good. What a terrible day. I can't go surfing. And you might think how ungrateful these people are and how spoilt they are to be complaining about not having perfect surfing weather when they live in this paradise. But we all have our own versions of that paradise. And you might not think that you are living in paradise right now, but if I was to say to you, could things get worse? You could probably imagine many ways in which your life could be worse, at which there could be more suffering and less ablement, less ability, less beauty. There are always ways where life can depreciate, in the same vein that things can always be better. So getting used to and understanding where your baseline of good is and how grateful you are for that baseline. It's an amazing grounding exercise to realize and be grateful for all of the things that you have. We're very quick to say how unfortunate and how unlucky we are for being ill, for instance. We are very quick to remark about our misfortune, but we don't wake every day and say, my God, I'm so glad I'm healthy. You could have something like conjunctivitis and one day you wake up and you're really irritated because your eyes have crusted over and they're all inflamed and you can't see. But on the days that it's all clear, you don't even notice it. You don't think about it. It doesn't come into your realm of thought. You don't wake up every day and say, oh, wow, I'm so glad that I can see today. I'm so glad I don't have it. You might do one day after. You might do 2 days after. But as you get used to not experiencing that, you get less and less grateful for everything that you have. But that can't be the complete answer. Of course, it is important to be grateful and to ground yourself into your baseline and understand, okay, you might not have everything that you want at the moment, but we should all be grateful for all of the ways that our life is fantastic, even if we don't judge it that way. If it wasn't there, or we didn't notice it, we would be very unhappy with it. For instance, I have a very bad habit of rushing through my meals. I don't sit there and appreciate all the flavors and enjoy the meal. I'm quickly chopping and changing between two activities and, I sort of eat out of convenience rather than eating out of appreciation for the food. So I'm not really focusing on how the food tastes. But if I couldn't taste food, that would be immediately apparent to me. I would see it, I would be like really frustrated by the fact that I couldn't taste something, if I was eating something and I couldn't taste it. But by rushing through the meal, I'm not appreciating and being grateful for the fact that I can actually taste it. I'm not enjoying that sensation. I'm not fully present with it. So I'm taking it for granted. And we all do this in many different ways and in many different parts of our life, where we don't fully honor what a blessing it is to have what we have. It's not so much that we're ungrateful and we don't care. We just don't pay much attention to these positive aspects of our life that we have gotten comfortable and used to having. And we take it for granted. If we were to be drawn attention to, if someone was to say, oh, are you grateful for that? You'd be like, yes, of course, I'm very grateful for this. It's more of a day-to-day feeling of appreciation and making the time and effort to fully appreciate that, whether that is, taking longer with your meals so that you appreciate and show gratitude for the blessing of being able to taste food, or whether it's, really when you're in the shower, enjoying the hot water coming over your skin, enjoying the fact that you have hot water, enjoying the fact that you've got clean water, and having things like clean drinking water. When you drink that water, being appreciative of the fact that it is clean and that it tastes nice and that it's nourishing your body, and allowing yourself to feel that. We're often so carried away by thinking things or focusing on what's next that we are not fully present and enjoying and appreciating all of these little things in life that we have, the moments that we share with people, the monotonous things that we think are boring and terrible, but at the same time, how wonderful is it that we can be bored with something, that we can feel safe enough to feel relaxed enough to feel bored, to feel like we don't have something that we absolutely must do. We're not fighting for our lives, or we're not, living one moment to the next just to survive. What a luxury it is to be bored. And yet that's something that many of us will think, oh yeah, like I wouldn't even see it in that way. But, actually the fact that I'm bored shows that there is a huge privilege to that. There is a huge honor in the fact that I have this time free to spend doing whatever I want. And yet because I have such an excess of it, I'm declaring that I'm bored. So much of what we have that we are fortunate to have, we are not even aware that we are fortunate to have it, because we either don't know what the absence of it is like, or it's been such a long time since we have had that feeling that we have forgotten. And now that we all understand how important it is to be grateful and to show gratitude in your life for the things that you have and to bring awareness to them, it needs to also be discussed that using this to destroy that feeling of want, the goals, the dreams, having things that you want to accomplish or having things that you want to experience, you are not a bad person because you want things to change or you want to experience something. And it can be easy to put down our own needs or our own wants by saying, well, I have a lot, so, it's selfish of me to want more. The fact that I have things in my life that I should be grateful for, that I'm not even really overly grateful for, but hopefully now we're all going to make a more conscious effort to be appreciative of that stuff. But even still, I'm not even appreciative of that stuff right now, and I want more. There are things that I want. There are things that I want to experience. And yet, is that not somehow ungrateful for wanting to experience more when I'm not grateful or I'm not actively showing my gratitude in the present moment? But you're not. If you are being ungrateful, that is because you are being ungrateful. It's not to do with the quantity of things that you rule as good in your life. You are not deserving of the things that you want because you are ungrateful. The key is to be grateful. It's not ungrateful to want more, it's ungrateful to be ungrateful for what you have. So you are allowed to want more. You are allowed to want to experience things or to achieve things. And in fact, I wholeheartedly believe that the more grateful you are, the more things that will come your way. That abundance will flow where gratitude is. Because if the universe or God is giving you gifts and you are not being appreciative of that, then why give you more? What reason is there? You don't appreciate what you have, or you don't enjoy what you have. So what will more do? And there's probably many times in our life where we've said, I'll be happy once this happens, or if I can just get past this, then I'll be happy. Or, if this changes in my life, then I'll finally be free. And yet when it happens, and in the moment, we're super grateful for it. But after some time, there is always this drop off where we forget that there was a time where we wanted this, where this was our dream life. And if you look back through history, you'll notice that we live the dream life of the people 100 years ago, and those people lived the dream life of people 100 years before that. If people from a few hundred years ago could see the sanitary conditions of the world now compared to then, they would be an absolute marvel. They wouldn't believe their eyes at how clean everything is and how, we have all of these bits of technology and protocols for keeping things clean and having medication and all of the kind of treatments that we have. It would be miraculous to them. But just like us, they would have had things in their time that they were very fortunate to have, that they took for granted. So the problem isn't that things are just so good now. It's the fact that the better things are, the better we expect them to be. It's almost like if you imagine a white wall And if you saw a white wall and it had sort of cracks on it and it was, not that well painted, it was dented and just imperfections everywhere, you would just kind of see a white wall. If you saw a flawless white wall, vast, perfect, spotless, clean, but there was one mark on it, you would instantly go, there's a mark on that wall. And there's thousands of marks on the other wall, but you didn't remark about all of them. But because it is so clean, so perfect, that we notice the imperfections straight away. And that's what happens in our lives. We get so used to things being a certain way or things going our way that as soon as something doesn't, or as soon as we are inconvenienced or we don't have what we want, then we go, oh, this is bad now. I can see the imperfection, and the imperfection is this thing that I'm focused on because everything else looks good. But this thing, I want this and I don't have it. Or these things are good, but this thing is bad. And there might be lots of things, and we start counting all up the bad things. But really, we focus on the bad. We start counting those, but we're not really counting the good things. And if we are, we're not very accurate with it. We're not calculate. We're counting all of the bad things, but then a lot of the good things, we'd say, well, okay, well, at least I'm fed. At least I have a roof over my head, for instance. And that would be seen as the bare minimum. But you're not listing the fact that at least you can see, at least you can hear, at least you can breathe, at least you have good hair, or whatever it is that you have. I'm sure you're all blessed in many ways that you don't fully appreciate. But what is also key here is that it's not the fact that you're noticing that something you want isn't yours yet, or there's something that has happened that is bad. That's not the problem. The problem is not the fact that you have something, whether it's desire or you want to be better or something's been taken away from you that you had before, whatever it is, the fact that you want that or the fact that you have this desire to experience it or to get it back, that's not the issue. The issue is when we allow ourselves for that to overcome all of our gratitude, of that to draw all of our focus to the negative. Because that's not an accurate picture. There are many things that are going right. You can choose to focus on the bad, but that is a matter of perspective. And when you reframe this and you are grateful for what you have, you are appreciative for all the blessings that you have, not only does that also attract abundance, but also whenever anything bad happens or where something doesn't go our way or we're not happy with a situation, we can then draw on that and go, okay, well, this might not be what we want. This might not be what I want. However, I am very lucky to have what I have. And if I can have more, if I can get what I want, I'll be really grateful for that. But no matter what, I acknowledge that I'm blessed in many ways, that I am very fortunate, and that I have so much to be grateful for. Because you do. Thank you for listening.